I have been I have been explaining why somebody like Nick Fuentes is given so much air to breathe and why his platform has grown as large as it has. And would I speak with him if the opportunity presented itself? Yes, I would. And if you listen to his rhetoric as of late, a lot of it is highly questionable. And of course, I suspect that he's been given a talking to. But here's the thing. When we think about the billionaire takeover of our country, the Zionist billionaire takeover of our country, there is no question that it is something that has to unite everybody. And this is what Nick had to say regarding the second richest person in the world, Larry Ellison, Mr. Zio, funder of the IDF, billionaire scumbag who probably is gleeful as can all be right now in lieu of all of the flotilla members being hostages and being tortured. This is what he had to say about Larry Ellison.
Is directly intervening to force China to sell their U.S. TikTok business to an American consortium. And Trump is giving that business to Larry Ellison.
Now, one thing right off the bat, I want to make very clear that people understand. The value of TikTok is about $40 billion on an open market. Larry Ellison was able to secure the rights to TikTok for $14 billion, just over 30% of the true value of the organization, of the company. And why is that? Why would he be able to do that? Because at that level, you could do whatever the fuck you want. That's the way it works. A $26 billion savings for Larry Ellison. You know, he can hang on to it for a year, flip it around, sell it, and double them. Do you think for 1 second that Larry Ellison, a few years from now, couldn't just turn around and sell TikTok for $28 billion if it just maintains where it's at right now, valuation-wise? Of course it could. And that's the problem.
A newly created entity is taking a 45% stake in TikTok's U.S. business, and Larry Ellison is taking a major role in that. He's going to own a significant stake in that company, and he's going to take a major role in securing TikTok. So consider, Israel's got this problem. Netanyahu is a close friend of Ellison. Ellison is a problem solver for Netanyahu. Ellison is one of these American Jewish oligarchs that works for Netanyahu, like many others. Netanyahu has a problem in Israel. He picks up the phone and he calls the loyal American Jewish billionaire Larry Ellison. And by the way, why is this dynamic so important? America's the biggest and most powerful country in the world. You can't amass a $300 billion fortune in Israel because Israel's economy is negligible, because their population is negligible. Israel doesn't have institutions like we have. They don't have companies, universities. They don't have a market like we have. They don't have capital like we have. So an American Jew is empowered in America, becoming one of the most powerful individuals on the planet, which you could not do in Israel, and then serves at the pleasure of Israel's government. You see? And he has power not just in the world, but also in America. His citizenship is extremely valuable. His ability to build an American company is what made him so rich.
And he's right. And this is the danger of having a billionaire class, not just that they're Zionists, but just billionaires in general, multi-billionaires in general. They have the ability to actually control the economy. They have the ability to actually control political discourse. We want to have an outlet to express ourselves regarding Israel's genocide. TikTok, as much as any outlet that exists, is one that we have used very successfully to get the message out there about the Palestinian people. So what does our Zionist government and Trump the cuck do? They get the rights from China, and we know they're going to compensate them in other ways. But they get them to give up their rights on TikTok, give it to a Zionist billionaire like Larry Ellison, who works directly with Milikowski. That's Netanyahu, for those who don't know his real name. It couldn't be more obvious what is going on here. And it's being allowed. And it's not just being allowed, it's being done for pennies on the dollar. A $40 billion company is being acquired for $14 billion. That's a crime within itself. And of course, it's being done on behalf of the Zio-Nazi state, which should not be tolerated by anybody.
And he uses his citizenship, his ability to interface in the political process in America, his ability to tap into the American market and capital markets and other things to create this fortune to then serve Israel. Israel has this problem. Netanyahu picks up the phone. Ellison answers. Ellison uses his connections through the Republican Party in American government to gain control over TikTok. And that's how Israel acquires a Chinese social platform that is all powerful in America. And what else do they do? Larry Ellison underwrites his son, David Ellison, his acquisition of Paramount Pictures, as well as potentially Warner Brothers. And now they will own all the media together. They will own TikTok. They will own CBS, TBS, HBO, HBO Max, Showtime, Nickelodeon, UFC streaming. They're going to own all this stuff.
And that is a great point because, again, how does somebody like Barry Weiss with a rag like the Free Press get into the position that she's in and now get an incredible payday? Because this is what happens at the very top. They are still trying to control the narrative, and it ain't working. Eventually, it's all going to spill over. That's what's going to happen. We'll finish it out.
And they're going to use their ownership of all of it to help Israel. They already are. David Ellison is going to buy out Bari Weiss and her publication, the Free Press, going to give her a $100 million payday, and just made her an executive at CBS. She is an Israeli spy. She was trained up by Yoram Hazony. She did internships in Israel with the Israeli military and Israeli government officials. She was mentored by Jews like Bret Stephens in America, Yoram Hazony in Israel. She is an Israeli spy.
I agree. She is an Israeli spy. We have to start calling them agents or, Israel adjacent. They're spies. And Barry Weiss is a spy. And as Piano Man said, as Jen would say, it's an infestation. And remember, when things start to get worse, where do you think that the Zion Nazis are going to come? They're going to go to Cyprus, they're going to go to Argentina, and they are going to come here. So just be ready. And that's why somebody like Fuentes has the platform that he has, because so few people are willing to speak on this the way it needs to be spoken on. This needs to be a central focus at all times. Jeffrey Epstein was a spy. My, how the tables have turned.
And she's going to run CBS. And she got a $100 million payday. They're using their fortune as secular Jews. Bari Weiss is a lesbian. She's got a wife. Larry Ellison's an atheist. They're using their fortune to help Israel for no reason other than they're Jews. Israel's a Jewish state. They're Jews. This is what they're doing.
I don't remember exactly how the saying goes, but I think I'm gonna botch it, but I want to make sure I say it right. Basically, Jews don't believe in God except that God promised them Israel. That's kind of what the joke is, I think. But we have to be cognizant. And Piano Man, I also want to point out, I agree. I do believe that Kash Patel has also been honeypotted. If you look into his girlfriend, there's a lot of smoke there. I have not even had the opportunity, because there were so many stories to cover this evening, for us to get to Andrew Colvett, who I do believe is one of the most suspicious characters in the whole Charlie Kirk saga. And that I think as Jen has alluded to, he is most likely the LBJ figure in this entire situation. So, where do we go from here? As we pointed out a little earlier this evening, we have been threatened in a very profound way by the Zionazis. They want to come for us. They're going to do it. But we're not going to stop talking about it. If we do, then they win. And we can't let them win.